Time has gone by so fast. I mean, 1 minute we're freshmen, and the next we're juniors, and then seniors, and now we're about 3 weeks away from graduating. Then what? Many of us have based these past 4 years, and maybe even more, to school to achieve the perfect grades with the perfect GPA and the perfect amount of AP classes. Now, as a senior, I realize I have also fallen into these social norms and expectations. We all want to live a good life and be successful, but many times a good life in our society is driven by the desire of gaining money to eventually be rich. But we never slow down and examine what successful is for each one of us. Successful for someone can be living in a mansion, and for others is living in a small, humble abode with their family. Each one of us has our own interests and lifestyles, yet I have noticed it is a common trend for everyone to follow whatever path will give them more money. I have found myself in this path of dedicating most of my teenage years to school in order to be successful. Flaking on friends and families and neglecting myself and my health in order to dedicate more time to school was common in my past 4 years of high school. And now, what? 3 weeks away from graduation, and was it worth it? Years of sacrifice of my own happiness and mental and physical well-being. As I imagine myself in 3 weeks crossing that stage, I will be wondering how things could have been different. I mean, sure, I'm going to a university. I have accomplished this ultimate goal of mine, but at what sacrifice? My own happiness, my own life? I wonder what I could have done differently. Like maybe go to that concert or say yes to that birthday party. Maybe I could have taken better care of myself and talked to my siblings more and become closer to them like how we were when we were smaller. Maybe I could have called my grandparents or my family members more. Or maybe I could have gone outside and absorbed my beautiful surroundings. But now I'm left with an utter feeling of regret of what could have been. I was so focused on pursuing success through school that I let go of what truly was important to me, my family, my friends, and my own true self. This superficial and obsessive desire to succeed in life was a naive mentality that I had formed throughout the years. I was so focused on what I thought I wanted that I quickly began to forget the beautiful things in my life. I forgot about the value of my family and friends and the things that I love to do that made me feel alive and happy, like playing guitar, or reading, or drawing, or simply having moments with my family. The worst part about being so immersed into this toxic culture was not realizing what I was losing in that process. Socrates quotes, "An unexamined life is not worth living." This particular quote had invoked an epiphany in me. It was a wake-up call of all things that I was doing that were inauthentic to myself and my beliefs. I had realized how many decisions I was actively making just because it felt expected of me. This would explain why I always felt like I was living an unhealthy routine. I found myself believing in things that did not align with my values, but I followed them anyways, just to stay within those social expectations. This quote evoked a sense of reflection on how I had been under-examining my constant decisions throughout these past 4 years. This quote also reminds me of a book called The Metamorphosis. The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka is a great example of the dangers about living an unexamined life. The Metamorphosis is about a man named Gregor Samsa, a traveling salesman who bases his whole life on providing for his family. He lives his life surrounding his work, and he grows an obsession of going to work constantly with few breaks. He represents the working class in a capitalist society who live to work for the majority of their lives until they eventually die. The book takes a sharp plot twist as the man wakes up with a sudden realization that he is stuck in bed as a cockroach, in which his first thought when he wakes up is, how can he get to work? The majority of the book is about Gregor's struggle with this new version of himself and his struggle to get to work and his family coping with the undesirable traits of their son. This book makes a claim about the consequences of overworking yourself for an undesirable cause and getting little reward. Frankly, this book hit a little too close to home. In hindsight, this book made me reflect more on the type of unhealthy routine I live. Many times, I found myself waking up and mustering any strength I had left to go to school. I realized how much I had neglected myself, I'd wake up, go to school, do my homework, sleep, and repeat. I realized how much I had neglected my own happiness, whether it was having messy sleeping habits, bad food habits, and not paying attention too much to my family and my hobbies and what brought me the most joy. I was so immersed in this unhealthy mindset and routine that I would begin to forget the concept of time and my memories. Reading Kafka's novel made me realize how much regret I would have if I were to die the day of tomorrow. Yes, I know this might be a little sad, but there are so many things that I still need to accomplish and hobbies that I have blown off due to my inability to make time for them. In retrospect, I have realized how occupying myself so much with school, work, and sports, and I began to ingrain these things in my life so much that without them, I found myself feeling empty, useless, and constantly scavenging for something to do to fill that void. I also realized that while being so immersed in this lifestyle, I began to forget many of the things that kept me grounded. For example, my memories in El Salvador, which was something that had been such a great factor to my own identity. I'd begin to lose the memories of being there, thus losing the desire to even want to travel there and see my family. Once again, I began to forget the things that kept me inspired and happy, like my hobbies. I began to realize how I stopped playing guitar due to an accumulation of tasks. I stopped reading novels. I stopped drawing, which were things that all inspired my creativity. Now, although I conformed to many societal values that diminished my individuality, throughout these past 4 years, I can now say that I have learned the value of living in the moment and living a life that you want rather than a life influenced by the beliefs and values of other people. Overall, I learned about the value of examining your beliefs and desires and executing them in your own manner. Now, to end this offering, I want to ask you, how do you want to live your life?